Well, good morning folks, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. Today I am at Manor Park Classics for the upcoming very imminent classic car auction here in Runcorn in Cheshire. I thought I'd come and have a quick look, see what's here. It's a bit lastminute.com this one. It is Wednesday morning, the viewing starts about midday today, and the auction is this Saturday, this coming Saturday. So if there's anything in this particular auction video that really catches your eye, I suggest you get a wriggle on, head over to the Manor Park Classics website. I'll include a link in the description, and yeah, come and have a quick look for yourself, because there are a number of viewing days before the auction on Saturday. So without further ado, let's go and have a look around and see what gems there are here today. There are a mix of classic cars, later modern classics, a few later performance cars, and a couple of pre-war cars as well. So a bit of variety in this one. Like I always say, I'll try and feature a little bit of everything, but the main focus here on the Old Classic Car channel is always the older cars. So let's go and have a look, see what's here, and see what takes my eye today. Let me know in the comments which car, or cars in fact, really float your boat. Right, let's go and have a look. Now there are cars in the halls here, and there are also quite a few cars outside. So to begin with, I'm going to prioritise the cars that are under cover. Mr. Paul Cowland, he of TV, is elsewhere, also recording a video here for the Manor Park Classics auction, so I'll try and not get in his way. But yeah, let's have a quick look around. The cars are not all in lot order, so they might not be in the same order as you see them in the catalogue, but the lot numbers are in the screen, so that should make life a little bit easier. And why don't we start with this, an XJRS. So this is one of the performance-oriented versions of the Jaguar XJS. The XJRS started out with the 5.3 V12, I think the later ones were 6 litre, prepared by Jaguar Sport, which was a collaboration between Jaguar and TWR, Tom Walkinshaw Racing. The estimate on this one is 10 to 12. Handily, because we are so close to the auction actually taking place, the estimates are in the screen, so that does make life quite a lot easier. So you've got the different wheels on these, the XJRSs, the body kit, and the wing on the back. So a few subtle mods just to differentiate it from your regular XJSs. This one on an F plate. Like I say, the XJRSs were all V12s, in this case the 5.3. All looks very agreeable in there. Like I say, I think the estimate's 10 to 12. So, yeah, you could do a lot worse than one of these. But like I say, don't take my word for it. If any of these cars really appeals to you, perhaps this wonderful little car here, a little Fiat, I think this is a Fiat 1900A of the early 1950s. Maybe this one floats your boat. I certainly do like the look of this one. I've never seen one of these before. What a cracking looking car. But yeah, if any of these really appeals to you, first thing to do is check out the website, and then try and get over here and have a look, because there's no substitute for checking out a classic car in the metal. What a little beauty this is. There are one or two cars in the background which I don't think are part of this auction. pretty special, but let's concentrate on the job in hand. Right-hand drive. Isn't that lovely? What a lovely interior. Look at even the handles. This is something I really like on some of the older Italian and the French cars. The detailing and the thought, well, that opens really nicely. There's the seat adjuster down there. What a lovely dash. Let's just have a peer in. I love the sort of wood effect on the steering wheel there. And the dash, what a beauty. What a stylish bit of kit. Complete with the original radio set into the centre of the dash panel there. That really is lovely. Yeah, Fiat 1900A. Even the headlining is really tasty. This is lovely, actually. Yeah. Obviously, this is just my opinion. I'm not paid to say any of this. I'm just here voluntarily. And a big thanks to Manor Park Classics for letting me come in just before the official viewing time starts, just to have a scoot around and admire the cars that are here. But I have to say, that is a lovely looking car. Shades of Amazon around the back here. The old Volvo 120, but this predates the Amazon. I think the Amazon came out in 1956. And this is about 52 or 53. Let's have a quick shufty at the screen. 1952, believed to be the only right-hand drive example ever built. Blimey. Bit of history there. Like I say, all this is catalogued on the website itself. Estimate 7 to 8. That's a very unusual car. How stylish is that? Like I say, I'll try and feature a bit of everything, but I will be prioritising some of the older cars that are here today, including this wonderful, wonderful little Fiat. Okie dokie, right, let's carry on. In here we have a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 1. I wonder what year this is. They came out in the 60s. Yeah, all looks very agreeable in there. Crew's finest, of course. It's not too far away from its home, Crew in Cheshire. About, what, 15 miles from here, 20 miles away, something like that. So the estimate 10 to 12 on this one. It's a 1967 with 76,000 miles on the clock. Like I say, any of these mileages, you can always get in touch with the offices here at the auction houses themselves just to sort of confirm any of the paperwork situations, mileages, history, MOT history, that kind of thing. This video is purely an overview of what's coming up for sale at the auction very, very soon. Shadow 1s have these really agreeable chrome bumpers. The later Silver Shadow 2 had much chunkier bumpers. And apparently they did sort of handle and drive a little bit better. They had slightly improved road holding. You could get like a Harvey Bailey conversion kit, which apparently did transform the handling of the Silver Shadow. But yeah, that's a lovely looking car. Alongside that we have a Silver Spirit. So the Silver Spirit, a lot more angular, and this replaced the Silver Shadow. So what year is this one here? Let's have a quick look in the window. It's an 89. Estimate 8 to 9. Well, the window is open. Let's have a quick look inside there. So lots of preparation work still going on for the auction, which is just a few days away. Like I say, today is Wednesday. I'm going to try and get this video out tomorrow morning first thing. Now, what do we have here? Another one of Crew's finest. This is a Bentley Arnage, 2005-ish. It's on an 05 registration. I have to say, compared to some of the later cars, I do like the slightly more toned down, understated look, if you can call any Bentley understated. But I do, if I was ever to buy a Bentley produced in this century, it would probably be one of these, possibly a T1, which is the Bentley version of the Silver Shadow, but going a little bit more modern. I think these Arnages are stunning. I think there's a pair of them. Yes, there are actually two of these entered in this particular classic car auction. There's the lovely Bentley mascot on the front there. So what are we looking at here? This is an 2007, estimate 24 to 26. Alongside that, another sort of 05-ish Bentley Arnage. Different badge on this one. Hasn't got the flying badge. This is an Arnage T. So it's an 05 built for the 2006 model year. And the estimate on that one is 10 to 12. So you've got a pick of cars there, different estimates. Wow. Which would I go for? Just based on appearance alone. I think this would probably be the one I'd go for, but some people much prefer the lighter colour of this. But either way, two stunning, stunning cars. Like I say, there are some later cars entered as well, so we'll just feature those briefly. We've got an Overfinch modified Range Rover here, but I'm drawn to this, of course. I think this Series 1, it's an 80-inch Series 1 Land Rover, and about 1953, I think, this one. Much of the original paintwork is long gone, but at least it reveals the aluminium coachwork, which most of the body is constructed from. The bulkheads are steel, so when you're looking at any old sort of series Land Rover, you always have a good look at where the doors bolt on, because they can get a bit tin wormy around there. But this one looks pretty proper, very original. New seats in it, retrim seats. There are the side screens in the back. Queensland, Australia. So, has this one been brought in? It would certainly appear that way. Maybe that's why it survived. chassis. Let's have a quick look underneath at the chassis, because you always have to check. Ooh. It all looks pretty clean and proper under there. I haven't read the auction description for this, but I'm guessing someone's done all the recommissioning to make it up and running and proper, but left the original finish, if you like. Yeah, it's a 1953 Land Rover 80 Series 1. Wow. Estimate 20 to 22, like I say. All the blurb on the screen is repeated on the website, so I would urge you to have a bit of a perusal of the website if you're thinking of inquiring about any of the vehicles that feature here. The lovely Defender there. It's a very clean looking vehicle, and a bay window VW camper. This is our kind of era, MP. Well known for VW accessories. Well, left-hand drive. Oh, looks pretty agreeable in there. So 1972, the estimate 19 to 21. Pretty groovy V-dub. Let's have a quick peer inside. Looks like it's been retrimmed. Yeah, that's handy. Very handy vehicle. Just perfect for a classic car show, especially if it starts raining. You can go and hide in there, make yourself a brew, and ride out until the weather improves. But yeah, that's pretty groovy looking dub. What else have we got? The Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, these look like they're all built in the 1960s, but I've got a feeling this one is somewhat later. Like I say, I'm sort of winging it a little bit. I can't film and flick through an auction catalogue at the same time. But fortunately, I've got the info in the window. It's a 1982. Yeah, imported from France in 2018. Painstakingly rebuilt to what we see today, etc., etc. 14 to 16. Now, would you go for one of these, or would you go for a Land Rover? I do like these, I must admit. There used to be a longer wheelbase Land Cruiser, very similar to this, living not a million miles away from us. And it was always quite an attractive looking thing when you saw this thing burbling around. And I think that is quite funky. Got a short wheelbase as well. There's presumably the original French plate. Yeah, that is neat and a bit different compared to maybe a Landy or a Jeep or something like that. Right, which way will we go now? I think we'll go this way and then work the way back round. So, in bright orange, we have a little Fiat Barchetta, a little front-wheel drive car, a little sporty car. This was a rival, I guess, to the MX-5, which the MX-5, of course, sort of reinvigorated the two-seater sports car market. I'm here in ours today. This is a 97. No reserve on this one, so bid what you want and high bidder wins. Left-hand drive. These were all left-hand drive, if I remember right. I remember when these came out, when they were current. I'm pretty sure they were all left-hand drive. Not that that's ever really been a problem. I don't mind left-hand drive or right-hand drive. Doesn't bother me at all, but looks very agreeable and comfy and in really good nick, actually. Yeah, so even though it's a bit later than the kind of car we normally feature on the channel, it's got a lot going for it, I think. So, yeah, sorry, no reserve. Look at this little Caterham 7. Wow. At least this one's got a windscreen on it. Many of these just have little aero screens and you'd be picking flies out of your teeth for hours afterwards. So this is a 2000 Caterham 7 Road Sport 1.8 VVC. So that's the K-Series engine. The variable valve timing, 14 to 16. The estimate on this one, that does look like a bit of a giggle, I must admit. Based, well, it can trace its roots all the way back through the Lotus 7 to the Lotus 6, as dreamt up by Colin Chapman back in the the roots of these go back to the 1950s, the little side valve powered Lotus 6, and indeed a few interesting creations that Colin Chapman came up with before that, but it was really the 7 that put Lotus on the map, and Caterham took over the rights to continue building these cars once Lotus stopped the production of the 7 themselves. But this one's quite a funky little car. I like the colours. Very Lotus-inspired colour scheme on this one as well. That's really neat. What do we see over there? A little Austin Healey Sprite Mark 1, the good old frog eye Sprite. So you've got a little A-series engine with the twin SU carbs under that bonnet. Very bonny indeed. That's on an age-related registration. Now, some of these, or quite a lot of these, have actually been brought in from abroad. No opening boot lid on these, so to access the rear storage area, you tip forward the back seats, and it's actually surprising the amount of room that's in there. And you go in through there, a bit like on our Standard 8 actually. How lovely does that look? Very familiar looking headlight switch there, very similar to that we used to have on the Austin Somerset that I used to have. Had a very similar switch to that. Yeah, you got your standard 4 speeds, 4 on the floor, and it's got the original steering wheel, which I really like. I'm not that keen on all these wooden steering wheels that people often fit to sprites and midgets and all that kind of thing. Proper side screens with a little Perspex block on the side there. Yeah, so in the day, sort of cheap and cheerful sports car. And it was cars like this when they came along in the late 1950s that kind of spelt the death knell for a lot of the home-built specials that people are building, your Falcon Caribbeans and your Ashleys and all that sort of stuff. Because no longer did you actually have to build your own cheap, relatively affordable sports car. You can actually go down to your local BMC garage and buy one. And that's what people did in great numbers with these and the later sprites and the midgets and so on. And yeah, this looks pretty tasty. And let's have a quick shove in the window just to get the build year. So this one is a 1960. Alright, so this is a UK supplied right-hand drive home market car, 12 to 14, the estimate on that. I seem to remember these were, at one time, not that long ago, these were being put up for like 20 grand or something, so yeah, could be a nice little buy for someone there. And here's a favourite, we see lots of these at lots of the classic car shows that we get to, the good old Triumph TR6. So the 2.5 PI. This is on a K plate, so it's quite an early-ish one, I would have thought. What's the small print on this one? 1971, very usable example. CP chassis code, originally finished in saffron yellow. It was changed to bright orange in 1977 and changed again in 88 to its current shade of pimento red. Estimate 10 to 12. So again, I'm sure TR6s used to be more than that just a little while ago, so that could be quite a good buy. Obviously you've got the Lucas fuel injection to check just to make sure everything's hunky-dory there. Someone's fitted like a walnut type wooden dash in this one. Yeah, looks like a bit of a giggle. Different seats as well. What are they out of? Answers on a postcard. Does it say on here? MX5 seats. Right, there we go. So probably a fair bit comfier than the originals, and you could always find some originals if you wanted to bolt some of those in. Yeah, that looks pretty groovy. And a nice set of Minilite alloys as well. We've got a Jaguar XK alongside it. These seem to be a good buy at the moment. My brother's got one of these. I haven't seen it yet, but he has got one of these. 2008, estimate 12 to 14. That's a lot of car. Especially as Jaguar seem to be sort of changing their direction. Not quite sure where they're going, to be honest. So maybe it'll increase the interest in this era of Jag. Very, very usable car, that one I would have thought. And somewhat lower is this Lotus Europa. Black with a gold pin striping, very reminiscent of the old JPS Lotus colours. World Champion Car Constructors 78 and 73, 72, 70, 68, 65 and 1963. Harking back to the glory days of Lotus in Formula One. Pretty wild looking car. The early ones didn't have this step here, which looked a little bit odd, but these do look better, I think. I've got a feeling the Renault 16 gearbox in these. That's a nifty looking little car. So what year is that one? It's a 74 Lotus Europa Special, 4 Lotus twin cam engine with big valve head, 5-speed box. I bet that bobs along quite happily. Resprayed in 2018, 18 to 20. Here's the auction estimate on that one. Pretty nifty. And by complete contrast, also from the 1970s, but couldn't really be more different, is this pea green right-hand drive VW Golf Mark 1. How tidy is that? It's a 3-door. Now, which model is this? It looks like one of the fairly basic ones. The Golf N of 1975. This is possibly the best VW Golf we have ever seen. Maybe the only one available in the country. 15 to 17. This is a proper time warp job, isn't it? Look at that interior. How has that survived? The old houndstooth cloth trim. Not dissimilar to that in sort of Triumph Spitfires, that kind of thing. That had very similar trim, at least in the centre of the seats. Yeah, it's good to see a not GTI VW Golf in such great preserved condition. You don't see many Mark 1s, the early ones with the much smaller backlights, the later Mark 1s, much bigger, chunkier lights on them. So this one probably should be in a museum, to be honest. Who remembers Zybart rust proofing? Yes, I bet if you open the door or pop the bonnet open, you'd see those little plastic plugs where holes have been drilled. There we go. That's the Zybarting process there, the little plastic plugs here in the A-pillar where the Zybart anti-rust compound had been sprayed in back in the day, and maybe that's why this one survives at all. But this is a proper time warp job. Just a tiny little bit of wear on the seat, but nothing that you'd really worry about. You wouldn't touch any of this. The original headlining, it looks like. Yeah, it's amazing just how simple, sort of basic spec, if you like, cars. Well, that shuts nicely. Yeah, what an incredible thing, really. That must have led a sheltered life. Right, let's carry on. Talbot Sunbeam Lotus. This has got a Lotus twin cam engine. What a bonny example that is. That looks super clean. Haven't got all the info yet. 1981 just arrived. No reserve. Oh. So whatever it gets bid to, that's what it goes for. 5-speed gearbox. Interesting car, interesting alternative, I guess, to all the Mark II Escorts that you see in rallying. Quite a lot of these get rallied. This one looks like it's led a bit of a quieter life than that. Maybe by now the info is on the website. But yeah, that's coming up for auction in just a few days' time. Like I say, Wednesday today. The auction is this coming Saturday. Okie dokie, now we go back to the Second World War and a desert spec Jeep from about, what's this, 42 or 43-ish, that kind of age. A variety of jerry cans strapped to the front. Interestingly, this is actually a German jerry can on the side here for Wasser or water. So that is a water jerry can. It's actually a German one. These were German designs, these cans, hence jerry can, and then we and the Americans started producing our own. Really clever actually the way they did it. These were designed so that if you had like two people walking alongside each other, one person could hold it there and the other guy could hold it on that side, and then you could sort of carry on across and share the load. So yeah, there's even more jerry cans in the back here as well, so no chance of running out of fuel. But I guess if you're in the desert, that's what you would need. A bit of info here, let's just have a quick shufty at this. 1942, restored in SAS desert colours. 20 to 22. Amazing. Certainly makes a change from all the olive drab green examples you see of the Willys and indeed the Ford Jeeps. Interesting how the bars of the grille have been cut away to get some extra cooling in there. And a pretty hefty rope on the front in case you need dragging out of a bit of an unfortunate spot. Yeah, pretty neat. No windscreen on these. I wonder if that was a standard thing. You'd have thought in the desert you'd want a screen really, wouldn't you? Right, alongside Ford Fiesta Mark 1. This one on the T plate, so it's about 78, give or take. Project Bobcat was the internal reference given to this car when it was being developed by Ford in the 1970s. 4-speed box. It does have a wireless, it does have long wave and medium wave radio in there, which looks just right, to be honest. It's never really good seeing really modern stereos in old cars, I always think. Looks pretty original, this one. No sunroof. It's kind of a quick wander around there. (1979) Fiesta 1 litre L manual, MOT till May 26. Oyster gold paintwork, plenty of patina. Seat facings recovered very recently, and front seats plumbed up with new foam at a cost in excess of £1,000, we understand. Estimate 5 to 6. Collector who owned this, or owns it still, is downsizing their collection, apparently. Yeah, pretty neat. Little Vauxhall Tigre here, becoming a bit of a rare sight now. This is one of the fixed roof cars. You could also get the convertible version of these as well. Estimate 5 to 6. This one looks pretty clean. It's a Vauxhall Tigre Checkers edition with one former keeper, 22,000 miles from new. Yeah, definitely modern classic, a young timer classic, yeah, and very, very unusual. They'll never make anything like that again. Okie dokie, right. Alongside that we have an Alfa Romeo Alfa Sud in bright white. So look around the back here. Yep, so this is one of the sort of facelifted cars. The earlier cars are much smaller rear lights on them, but it's pretty cool to see any Alfa Sud, to be honest, because they didn't last particularly well. They weren't great, especially in the climate that we have here in the UK, so survivors are not all that numerous now. Maybe you've owned one of these. If you've owned any of the cars featured in this video, please pop a note in the comments. It's always really great to read what you think. This is an 82 car, 17,000 miles indicated from new. No reserve on this one either. It's MOT till January of 2026. Yeah, you don't see too many of those around. Probably quite a usable car, quite a good steer by all accounts. I remember road tests being very favourable on those. And this is a rare old girl. The Viva E, which is like a very late Viva, this one, based on the HC Vauxhall Viva, the fastback. So that body used to be, was it the Firenzas and things like that? But towards the end of Viva production, you could buy these, and these were fairly basic, if memory serves. All pretty pared back, nice original trim in there. Does look like a bit of fun. Yeah, so the HC Viva. The last ones were badged up as the Viva E. Vinyl roof. So a few luxuries on this one, and side stripes as well. It's been a long time since I've seen one of these. 1975 Vauxhall Viva E Coupe, reputed to be one of only 5 coupes left in the country. Estimate 6 to 7. Okay, and alongside that rare Viva we have a Jaguar XJS in full convertible form. Is this a V12 or is it a 6-cylinder? Let's have a look around the front. Ah yes, there is the all-important V12 engine, which was a work of wonder in its own right. The V12 Jag engine, lovely, lovely engine. Revvier than the equivalent 6-cylinder cars. Very, very under-stressed engine. What's that steering wheel? Non-standard steering wheel in there, but yeah, pretty groovy. Lots of wood. Very comfy. Looks like the original trim. I suspect. What mileage is it showing? 50,769. So obviously, if you want to check in the mileage on any of these cars, just give the people in the office here a bell and they'll give you the full SP on whatever car you're interested in. Perfect for the weather we've been having lately. Bit of open top motoring, maybe head down to the south of France. Be very agreeable in something like that. I think time is being kind to the XJS for a long time. They were in a bit of the doldrums, I think, interest and value wise, but I think people are beginning to appreciate these more and more as time goes by. There were a lot of rough ones around. They've probably gone by now. This has the American spec lamps. So originally in this country we had like the lozenge shaped lamps, but this has the export style of lamps, which I think actually look better anyway. So yeah, nice XJS convertible. 1988, original UK supplied example. 13 to 15 is the estimate on that one. Yeah, all looks very agreeable. I've never noticed those lockable lockers in the back there, behind the seats. Never noticed that before. Yeah, bit of everything in here today. And another classic little Alfa Romeo, the little Alfa Sud Sprint Veloce, I think. Really stylish little car, left-hand drive. Looks pretty groovy with the yellow lamps as well. What do we have here? Norisco Auto Certificat d'Assurance Credit Mutuel. Does this one come in from France? That would be my hunch. But, it's got a nice old, what's that, Pioneer radio in there. Yeah, lovely. I imagine these sort of era of cars, the sort of thing that cracks in the dashboard top would be quite common, being black and plastic, but this one looks alright in that regard. Lovely dark blue. I never realised these rear side windows actually wind down. Look at that. Never noticed that, but to be honest, you see so few of these around that you rarely get a chance to have a close look. Very comfy looking seats indeed. Nice. I like that. The air vents, the extractors on the back in the shape of the clover leaf. Very neat little detail. There we go. Alfa Sud Sprint Veloce 1.5 litre. Very neat looking little car. On the W plate, so what's that, about 1980, give or take. Yeah, very sporty, very unusual little car. You're not going to bump into too many of these. It shows you take it to 1980. There we go. Yeah, pretty cool. 51,000 miles showing. Restored example. Tasty. 10 to 12. That's a really interesting car that I see it mentions there. First registered in France. Very nice. Very neat little car indeed. Like that. There's the back of the TR6 with the big, look like Triumph tune, pipe sticking out the back there. Talking of Triumph, we have another Triumph TR. This looks like a TR4. If we just go around here, the 4A has the extra little lamps on the side and the trims. This looks like the TR4. 966UHN is the registration number. It's a lovely little car, 4-cylinder, about 2088cc. Off the top of my head, like I say, I'm winging it a bit today. Right, 1964 TR4, over £13,000 spent since 2018, estimate 10 to 12. It's a very similar estimate to the TR6 over there. So which would you go for? Would you go for the TR6 with its lusty 2.5 straight 6 engine, or the older car with the very torquey 4-cylinder engine? Which would you go for? I mean, I do like a 6-cylinder car, but I much prefer the look of these earlier TRs. So which would I go for? Are these two? I like the soundtrack of the 6, but I would probably go for this if they went for similar money, but that's just me. Everyone's different. Yep, so this has got the Surrey roof, which is like hardtop, but you can lift out the centre section if you want to grab some rays on a nice sunny day. So you've got the best of both worlds, really. Yeah, all very agreeable in there. Wood dash, wood steering wheel. I think if it was mine, I'd probably put an original steering wheel back on it, but it's a pretty easy thing to change. The interior trim looks pretty original. Still pretty good order. Tiny little seats in the back. That's handy if you want to carry your picnic hamper somewhere nearby, but talking of that, you could always put it on this luggage rack. Yep, TR4. Just wants a little bit of paint tickling up there, but that wouldn't take much at all. Overall though, looks pretty tasty. Like I say, I do love the shape of the front of these cars with the sort of the hoods over the headlights. I think they look very, very appealing. indeed. And there are certainly plenty of open top cars here for this May 2025 auction. There's another one here, Mercedes-Benz SL, one of the R107 era of Merc SLs. SL, is that Sport Light, I think? Well, I don't think these were particularly light. This is a 1975 450 SL, so that's a nice big engine. 14 to 16 is the estimate on that. 80,000 miles showing auto box. A fresh MOT apparently, so that's good news. These are really well built cars. Look at the interior in that. There's the auto box. Very, very brown, very, very 1970s, really harks back to that era. Very Dallas spec car, aren't they? The TV series, but it's nice being a 450. Most of these seem to be 280s, the ones that we stumble across at car shows, and the quality of the fittings. I've been looking at one or two old Mercs recently. I'm always blown away by just how nicely they are built. Look at those little winders in the back corner there. I wonder if there's not one there, so someone who knows their Mercs will know what that winder does. Maybe it releases this cover, which covers the folding soft top. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, nice looking car. R107 450 SL. Oh, and it's got the factory hardtop is with it as well, so that's good. And over here we have the Morgan on a T-plate, so a late 1970s Morgan. Nice to see the original Steelies on this one. Makes a change from wire wheels. And you've got the extra row of seats in the back of this one. Looks like a really usable example, I would suggest. Looks very original in there, actually. Someone's enjoyed this one, I suspect. Side screens in place. Car is fitted with an electronic burglar alarm. Lots of louvers in the bonnet. It's a 1979 4-seater. Odometer showing 61,000 miles. Patina, patina, patina. And more patina or patina. Buy it, fuel it, drive it and love it. Estimate 9 to 11. Morgans have a huge following. Of course, Morgan's still very much in business down in Malvern in Worcestershire. And this is one of their late 1970s examples. And this, to be honest, looks really, really usable. You wouldn't be worried about using this pretty much all year. There is someone local to us who actually drives a Morgan. It seems on a daily basis. He comes past most days. Right, we have a Merc over here, a little bit later than the cars we normally feature, so we'll just have a quick look. It's an 04, 5 to 6,000, so which one is this? A 350, 95,000 miles showing. It's a lot of car. That is a handsome machine. Right, let us carry on over here. And we have a Jaguar E-Type. So this is a Series 2. You can always tell that by these big chunky indicators under here compared to the Series 1s and the bar that goes across the air intake over there. So this is a Series 2, 2+2. So 2+2, slightly longer wheelbase than the open top car. Higher roofline, still a fixed head, but higher roofline, a bit longer. And that's enabled a small rear seat to be fitted in here. It is actually a lot roomier, to be honest, compared to your fixed head coupe Jaguar E-Type, so you could actually fit a couple of little people in there, or people with small knees. So it is actually quite a practical car in many ways. Plus you've got the full-length opening roof as well. So yeah, if you've got a family and you want an E-Type, maybe one of these is the best bet. They did manuals and autos. This has a manual box, which is nice. So it's a 1970 4.2, 2+2. Yeah, all the info there. Yeah, estimate 28 to 32. Very nice dark blue as well. Looks very similar to the colour that my old XJ12 was. The first XJ that I bought way back in the 1990s. That was a very, very similar dark blue to this, and it really does suit it, I think. Okay, alongside, somewhat newer, we have a BMW 3 Series. This is a 318i. So in those days, that would tell you everything you needed to know. So 3 Series, 1.8, fuel injection. Things were nice and logical back in those days. And this is a very handsome car. Nice to see a four-door car. Makes a change from all the 2 doors. It's a manual 318i. So yeah, looks to be in great nick. 67 is the estimate. It's a 318i SE Lux. And Calypso Red, an anthracite trim. Yeah, super tidy car, showing 111,515 miles on the clock. Nice old AA badge there as well. Yeah, very sharp looking car. That's sort of the modern classic that you could still run every day if you so desirous. Looks like a really nice car actually. Yeah, pretty sharp. And I'm guessing this may have been an original fitment, being the Lux version. Yeah, how nice does that look in there? Always amazes me how any of these cars survive, to be honest. Right, and here we have an Audi Coupe. Now, I admit this is a bit later than the kind of cars I normally look at, so I'll have to resort to the information in the screen. S2 on an end plate, so about 95. 96, right, S2 Coupe. Yeah, right, okay, bit of info there. 13 to 15. So 4-wheel drive, 6-speed gearbox, turbo, very rare, even when new. Bright silver, oxblood leather interior. So that's probably quite a rare sight now. Definitely an unusual car. We've got a Porsche Boxster over here. And staying with the Porsche theme, a very tasty looking 1990s 911. Let's have a quick look at the blurb in the window. I won't try and guess which era of 911 this is. It's a 993 from 1996. So is this the last of the old air-cooled 911s? I've got a feeling it is. 285 brake horsepower, 3.6 litre, flat 6. And all the info. Tiptronic-esque gearbox, midnight blue metallic black leather, first registered May 1996, 43 to 47 is the estimate. And I have to say, I don't have to say, but I really think, especially compared to the later Porsches, these are very, very handsome looking cars. Targa badge there. So back in the sort of 70s and the 80s, if you saw a Targa badge, you'd be looking at a 911 with the lift-out roof panel, a bit like the TR there with the Surrey roof and the lift-out centre panel. But by this point in time, the roof, the glazed roof, slid back, and that's what we're looking at here. So a big sunroof. You've got a little doofer there that flaps up just to keep the wind out of your hair. Yeah, and the roof slides back beneath the rear screen, which has the wiper on it. Yeah, pretty neat. Yeah, great looking car. Like I say, I could see myself with one of these in 993, but a later Porsche, probably not. Right, I think that is probably most of the cars in this section of the parking area. Did I look at this VW? Probably not. Let's have a quick look at this VW camper over here. So that's on the H plate, so late 1990s. Lot number 248, VW T25 Auto Sleeper Trident from 1991, 114,000 miles, so someone certainly enjoyed this one. MOT till March of 26, estimate 9 to 11. That's quite an interesting thing. Of course, that gets you into the VW scene as well if you choose to be part of that. Really usable, big opening side door on it. It's actually quite spacious in here. I can see why people buy these. Things you could buy this, look after it, run it for 5 years, and you'd probably get the same money back for it again. I don't really see these, as long as they're in good nick still, I don't really see them shedding value at all. Whether they go up, well, who knows. But either way, you can buy one of these, and you'd probably get most, if not all, of your money back when you decided to sell a few years down the road. And you certainly can't say that, I suspect, for a modern day caravanette, camper van, that kind of thing. So that's a lot of holidays for somewhere between 9 and 11. I can certainly see why people get into those. Yeah, pretty groovy, right. Okay, we had a look at these before, including this great little Fiat, but I mustn't keep looking at this, even though I like it, because I need to keep going. And I think now we'll amble over into the main hall over the back there. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which car you fancy the most. Now you will notice that there are lots and lots of classic motorcycles parked up around the place. There is also a classic motorcycle auction coming up even more imminently than the car auction. I believe this is actually taking place on Friday, so just a couple of days time. Now I'll have just a very, very quick look at some of the bikes that are here, just because, well, we all like mechanical things, and there are some really interesting bikes here. Big Hondas and Kawasaki's over here, and I know there are some quite early British bikes in the auction as well, so I'll definitely try and hunt those down as well while I'm here. But yeah, again, all the details of the upcoming bike auction are also on the Manor Park website. Yeah, these look pretty cool, quite the lineup of 1970s Japanese bicycles, motor bicycles even, over here. I seem to have bicycles on the brain lately, but with Harley bikes, so many pedal bikes lately. This is definitely in the car auction, lot number 211. A great old petrol pump, one of the old sort of skeleton type petrol pumps. This one's been restored up. Esso high test pump, complete with its original nozzle and all the bits and bobs. 1 shilling 8.5 pence per gallon. Looks pretty tidy. That's neat. As is this incredible, look at this incredible Suzuki GT550 over here. Ram air system. This is the kind of thing that the British bike industry was up against in the 1970s. And to be honest, I think most of the British bike makers got caught napping a little bit when all these bikes started appearing in dealerships here in the UK. Right here, anyway, back to the cars, and we begin in this hall with a 1967 registered Ford Mustang, the notchback coupe. It's got a 289 badge on it, so we're looking at a V8 Mustang over here. Yep, 67, iconic American muscle car, subject to recent engine rebuild, Autobox 302 cubic inch in this one, so would have had a 289 originally. This one's been enlarged slightly to 302, £6,500 spent in the last year, rebuilt engine, new rad, fuel tank, etc, etc. All the bits and bobs that have been changed are there. 11 to 13 is the estimate for this one. Left hand drive, auto box, there's a shifter on the floor, pretty groovy car, and plenty of room in the back. I have to say, if you're looking for a family classic, maybe one of these would be a good shot, because there is actually a fair bit of room in there. I'm quite surprised just how spacious they are. We'll look at quite a few Mustangs at the shows that we get to, but I've never really looked at the back seats, and they're actually quite roomy. I'm quite surprised by that. Yeah. Pretty practical car. Okay, and staying with Americana, we have a Corvette Stingray. Is this the C3? I'm not too well up on my Stingrays. Yeah, C3 Stingray 1969, 22 to 24, with the desirable manual gearbox, the Manuel gearbox. Pretty hefty rack on the back. Fiberglass body, these of course. Quite a swoopy design, contemporary to the British E-Type, I guess. Yeah, nice set of rims on there. Left-hand drive, manual shifter, period radio. Yeah, pretty wild looking car. I bet it sounds nice as well. Alas, we can't hear any of the cars running today, but I think we can be pretty sure that that one does sound the part, especially being a manual. I'm not sure I'd want an auto one of those. Right, and here we have another lovely Bentley. Which model are we looking at here then? This is a Turbo R. Oof, nice, 1993. Estimate on this 10 to 12. That's a lot of car. I think it's one of these sort of cars that if you buy a good one to start with, it shouldn't break the bank actually keeping it on the road, and lots of people are breaking these, so there's quite a healthy supply of used and new parts around for these cars. So I can see there being a bit of interest in this, especially being a turbo R. They bob along pretty well, based on the old Mulsanne that came out in the early 1980s, which was basically the Bentley version to the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit. I do love the painted radiator shells on the Bentleys, and the lovely slatted grille as well. That looks really tasty. Oh, I like that. Great colour combo as well, with the green and the yellowy tan interior as well. Yeah, very nice. Picnic tables in the back. Oh, very, very agreeable indeed. The Turbo R. So this was the updated version, or the uprated version of the original Mulsanne Turbo. So I'm sure that goes pretty well, as I'm sure does this Jensen Interceptor 3 that is parked here in the corner. TWR2M. That's a pretty groovy number. TWR. Full length roof in this one. There was a great turnout of classic Jensens at Goresworth Hall recently. If you've not seen that video yet, please check that one out when you're finished here. Quite a few Interceptors as well. I think these are incredible looking cars. Again, seats in the back, not the biggest amount of footroom in the back, but the driver's seat is quite a way back, but just such a stylish looking car. So these were steel bodied, replaced the fiberglass bodied CV8s that came before. Real sort of car for the jet set in the 1970s. What's this one? It's a 74 with 55,000 mile with electronic overdrive, it says. Bills for £22,000 over the last 10 years. And 63,000 since new. Wow. Factory air conditioning. One of only 2,454 right-hand drive examples produced. Built as a factory demonstrator with significant optional extras. 40 to 45,000 pounds. That really is a stylish bit of kit, that is. What a fun way to spend 40-ish thousand pounds. Again, look after it, and you'll probably see that back again if you decide to sell in just a few years' time. Super stylish car. Motor Lita steering wheel on there. Really tasty looking car, and those alloy wheels set it off a treat. I think proper Interceptor alloy wheels. They do look really groovy indeed, I think. Big Chrysler V8 engine under that long, low, swooping bonnet. And there are also some pre-war cars here today, and we'll have a look at one of them here. This is a Rapier. So this was it was like a Lagonda, but in sort of 2/3 scale almost. Produced by Lagonda. Rapier was their, I'm not sure what you'd call it really. It wouldn't be fair to call it a sub-brand, but it was an associated brand of car in the Lagonda stable. And this is the Rapier. Beautiful car, not too big, not too intimidating. Some of the Lagondas are huge and they do look a bit scary to park, but this actually isn't too big at all. This is really quite a good looking car. So you've got the tank on the back and the spare wheel. Let's just sneak around here carefully. WS3060, so that's probably the original registration, I would have thought. Very nice little sporting car. Flowing wings. No running boards on these. Lovely interior. You can see how sloped the dash panel is in these to give you a bit of room for your knees. That's quite a common thing. You see that a lot with pre-war Singers as well. The dash, like in the Singer 9 Coupe, is very angled like that, just to give you a bit of extra space for your knees and your maps while out on the road. And that's how it's got the lovely Blue Mel's Brooklyn steering wheel. You can just see the badge there. That really is a little treasure. So it's a 1935 highly usable pre-war example, ready to be enjoyed for many more years to come. Manual box, yeah. A lot of info there. Pre-selected gearbox, aluminium panels over ash frame. Really, really nice. So this is a 35 with 1104cc engine. Started out as an Abbott fixed head coupe, now rebodied with replica eagle body, finished in cream with cream leather interior. Same family ownership for the last 37 years, 25 to 27. What a stunning little car that is. Like I say, not as big as a Lagonda, but just as good looking, and arguably a lot more manageable than most Lagondas. But that is a beautiful, beautiful car. Great to see some pre-war entries here today at the Manor Park Classics auction. Now, staying in the 1930s, we have this glorious open-topped 4-seat Bentley. So what year is this? It's a 36, coachwork by Rovin, R-O-E-V-I-N. I hadn't heard of them before. So this started out with a Park Ward 4-door saloon body. Very neat. The estimate on this one is 65 to 75, so this is one of the Derby era Bentleys, basically from the 1930s. Stunning car. This is from a time when you would spec your chassis and then pick your chosen coach builder to body it with maybe an open top body like this, or perhaps a fine saloon with swooping lines, a drop head coupe. And it's not unusual for cars of this age to get rebodied over the years. Many saloons have become open-top cars over time. Some of these sort of cars may have been converted into vans during the Second World War and later converted back to open-top or saloons. So yeah, these cars were built to be rebodied. And this is a very swish-looking car, actually. I do like that. The big, hefty Lucas lamps on the front. There's the proud winged Bentley badge there, and the mascot up there. But yeah, what a cracker! Matching pair of hooters on the front. Possibly one is high tone, the other might be low tone. Original registration. But yeah, very good looking car. And having the row of seats in the back makes it quite practical. Decent amount of space in the back. Lovely looking trim, just nicely mellowed trim. And overall, it looks like a bit of a cracker as well. I like that. I spy another Jaguar E-Type here in front of the rostrum. This is a 65 Series 1 E-Type fixed head coupe, or maybe it's, at this point in time, would it be a Series 1.5? Not quite sure. Let's have a look in the window and just clarify that. 4.2, right, so it's a Series 1.5, most likely, manual box. 75 to 85 on this one. So just like the other E-Type we looked at, fixed head, but this is the regular fixed head coupe with no rear seats. The slightly later 2+2 that we looked at, of course, has the extra row of seats in the back. These are a little bit cosier inside, but this manual box, lovely looking car. What a great view down the bonnet as well. I always think that's super impressive. Yeah, so fixed head, and yeah, looks lovely in the shade of yellow. Our favourite colour, of course, bright yellow. We're big fans of yellow cars. There is a yellow car show coming up later this year, so if you pop a bid on this one and happen to win it, you could book it in there. That's taking place, I think it's over Knutsford Way, somewhere at the showground near Knutsford in Cheshire in a couple of months' time. So it'd be great if this one ended up being taken to that one. But yeah, what a lovely-looking car, and with the 4.2, so the slightly larger engine compared to the early Series 1s, which came out in 61. I almost missed this one over here. We have a BMW 3 Series, one of the E46 era of BM 3 Series. Alpina stripes and badging tell us this one may have a few mods with a carbon fibre mirrors. Yep, it's an Alpina B3S convertible from 2003 MOT, June this year. Very rare numbered real Alpina. There's quite a few fake Alpinas around. Loads of history, comes with a factory hardtop, 9 to 11. And cars like this have surely got to be good bets. You're not going to lose much on this if you buy this and sell it in a few years' time, surely. I would have thought the market for this era and type of car, especially being an Alpina, which is a bit special, there must be a pretty strong market and following for these cars. Good looking car, I think the E46, last of the decent looking 3 Series, in my humble opinion. Right, what do we have here? Another lovely Bentley. What's the spec on this one? Another Turbo R, this is a 94, estimate 14 to 16, lovely dark red wine colour, that really is. Yeah, again, what a car for the money. Right, we'll work our way along the row here. Next we have a VW Scirocco, one of the early VW Siroccos, this one about 1980, I'm guessing from the W registration. Let's go have a quick look. There's an 82 tax disc in the window. Yeah, 1981 Scirocco Storm. Less than 20 left on UK roads, manual box. MOT till next March. What's the estimate? 16 to 18. You don't see too many of these around. Much better looking, I think. Much sharper looking than the latest Scirocco that replaced this one. These are a lot crisper design, I think. Yeah, that looks to be in great condition. Yeah, Scirocco Storm. Clearly known to the Scirocco register. Yeah, pretty sporty coupe. Manual box, 5-speed on the floor. Some later bikes over here. Like I said, there is the bike auction coming up later, but these are a fair bit late and the kind of thing that we normally feature. So let's get back to the cars. And here, a Triumph Spitfire, the Mark IV, so the 1296cc 4-pot engine under that lift forward bonnet. This one looks really, really straight. All the panels bolt on. Separate chassis on these, which can trace its roots back to the Triumph Herald. So one thing you look for when you're looking at a Spitfire or GT6 Herald Vitesse is the panel fit, because like I said, the front bonnet, which is this entire thing here, apart from these little corner pieces under the bumper there, the entire bonnet lifts forward. It can be quite tricky getting all that to line up. And you've got sills, of course, which have often been replaced on cars by this point in time. Doors and bolts. The rear wings are fixed, apart from the boot lid, of course, that comes off, but getting everything to line up on these cars isn't always easy. So that's always a good test to see if you're looking at a car that's in good nick and been well restored, if it has been restored. Everything's available for these. And to be honest, I think most of these have probably been restored by now. This one looks very, very clean indeed. We like that. Again, in our favourite colour. And here we have the Opel GT. And here is that lovely Opel GT. What a great looking little car. I'm not sure if they ever actually sold these here in the UK. I think most of the ones, if not all of them, have been imported over the years. This one, an early 1970s car, left-hand drive. They were all left-hand drive, I think. Manual gearbox, very, very sporty in there. Lots of black vinyl, as you'd expect in a car dreamt up in the late 60s and 70s. That's a really, really neat looking little car. These are, apologies for my squeaky shoes, MOT till April 2026. Load of history, previously owned by the chairman of the Opel GT Owners Club, launched in 1968. Estimate on this 9 to 11. Now, that's a really sleek looking car, I think. I'd certainly have one of those over a Ford Capri. That may sound like heresy, but if it was a choice between this and a fairly middling Capri, I'm not talking RS 3.1s and things, but you know, nice Capris can pull strong money now, but I think I would probably go for one of these, to be honest, because it's just that bit more interesting. I like unusual cars, and this certainly ticks that box. It looks to be really nice in there. It's a good looking little car. Like I say, apologies for my squeaky shoes on the floor, but we'll try and minimise that. And here we have the Fiat X19. This one about 1980, 79-80. I do like the early Fiat badges that were still present on this era of car. Yeah, very nice. X19, 5-speed. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy an old Fiat, and that's kind of the same thing, the sticker says. Well, you can't argue with that. Very cosy little two-seater there, mid-engine, so the engine is under there. Pretty sharp styling by Bertoni. Yeah. The winner's laurels around the Fiat badge, harking back to Fiat's successes in the early days of motor racing in the early 20th century. I think it's a shame they dropped that from the badge. Yeah, lovely looking car, this one. Really, really tasty. There's the Bertoni badge on the side. Yeah, it looks pretty neat. I love how the tacho reads from right to left. And the red line is at 7,000 over on the left of the gauge. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I like the colour as well, very 70s colour. If you're buying a 70s car, you want it looking in a proper 70s colour, you don't want it grey, do you? Right, let's carry on around here, see what else we can spot. Some of the cars are still being prepped. Swathes of elderly motorcycles over there, so we'll have a quick shufty at those. Ferrari up in the heavens up there. Love the Alpha Spider down here. So this is quite a late example of the original classic Alfa Romeo Spider, I guess. By this point in time, they'd gone to the squared off tail as opposed to the boat tail of the earlier examples. So this is a 1990 Alpha Spider 2 litre, 114,000 miles. It's actually reading kilometres, this one. Manual box, comes with the expensive hardtop. Been living the good life on the Isle of Man, 12 to 14. This one is estimated at. That's really cool. I love how the gear lever comes out almost horizontally from under the dash. That's quite neat. No pretense at offering extra little seats in the back, purely a two-seater. So yes, this has got the squared off tail and the later backlight treatment. Nice looking car. Whiz the roof off and you've got a lovely little sporty car there. Right, we have a racing green limited edition Mini here on the left plate. One of many limited edition Minis that were offered back in the day. This is 1989, the racing green. 5 to 6 the estimate on that one. When you're looking at Minis, you're always looking at like the seams around here to see make sure they haven't disappeared under layers of filler. Got a Morris Mini Cooper S here. This one looks pretty groovy. 25 to 27. Just have a quick scoot around here. MGB, that's a nice one. There's a lovely green, a Brooklands green MGB alongside that. A GT, this away, if you prefer the lines of the closed GT. And here, quite an early MGB Roadster. These first came out in 1962. This one's probably a year or so later. Oh, it is a 62. 10 to 12 is the estimate, and it's got the pull door handles, which is something you see on the early cars, and these lovely steel wheels with the circular holes. Now before I go outside, I just want to have a look and see which British bikes are here. There's lots and lots of classic Japanese bikes, and indeed the veritable cornucopia of scooters and mopeds. But there were, I'm sure I've read somewhere, there are some lovely old British bikes. I'm just going to have a quick look at these. 1953 Ariel Square 4 to 4.5 is the estimate on that. That's the Square 4 engine there, or the Squarial as these were called back in the day. That's a lovely looking bike. Do quite fancy that. And look at this Beezer here, the BSA. What a little cracker that one is there. I do approve of that one. Got a post office spec BSA Bantam there. The bright red, that's a 65. The Ariel here. Oh, it looks super original actually. 1500 to 2000. Oof, I know someone who'd like that. He likes his little BSA Bantams. Ariel BSA Beezer. Like I say, check out the website Norton to get the full lowdown on all the bikes, newish bikes and much older bikes entered into the very next auction. Got a couple of Tritons there, so they were a bit of a hybrid So you've got a Triumph engine in a Norton frame. So there's one there, and one over there. Triumphs here. Yeah, a bit of everything here today. Before I go outside, I just want to show you these two restoration projects in the corner. These are not in the upcoming auction, but I had to show you these. This vehicle is available in our July 19th auction at no reserve. What an incredible Mercedes. Where's that been? What an incredible Survivor. Left-hand drive. Where has that been all these years? Wow, that's quite the project for someone there. What an incredible bit of kit. You would have to know your way around a box of spanners if you were taking this one on, but what a glorious project. So what's that, an SSK? Really not sure, but what an incredible bit of kit. Like I said, that's coming up in a July auction here at Manor Park. And what's this? Is this well, at first glance it looks like a Cord. This is also in the July 19th auction. Cord model 812. Wowzers. Front wheel drive with retractable headlights as well. What an amazing machine. It really is quite the project for someone there. Slightly later wheels. Wow, what an amazing pair of projects coming up for sale in a couple of months' time. Incredible. Oh, I almost forgot to come in here. Lots and lots of motorcycles. Most a bit newer than we tend to feature here on the channel, but we'll have a quick look round anyway. And there's a great little trials bike. That scrambler there, Yamaha 80. Honda's Bull Taco. Yamaha. All sorts, and even bicycle, by gum. I remember Rally Burners, BMX bikes in the early 1980s. I well remember these sort of things. Incredible collection here of BMXs actually. More off-roaders over here. So what have we got? Honda Mako. Pretty groovy trials. Beta Trial World Champion. Yeah, bit of everything here for fans of two-wheelers as well as fans of four-wheeled machines. Look at this incredible Ducati over here. Desmo Sedici. Ooh, a few more cars over here, close to reception, including this incredible Mercedes Coupe FEY 304D. So that's a 66 car, EY, North Wales registered, possibly Anglesey, possibly that far over. Certainly originally a North Wales car. Beautiful dark blue, two-door pillarless coupe. Wowzers. I was talking about Mercs before. And you've got to admire the build quality in these incredible cars. Very distinctive dash as well. These were seriously expensive cars back in the day. Nice original Britax seatbelts in there. Lovely smell of leather. Is that Radiomobile radio, I think? What an incredible machine. Let's go around the back here. 220 SE. So straight six, fuel injected. What an immense machine that is. Yeah, that really is quite the incredible car. Another example of the R107 SL next to that. So what's the estimate on this one here? It's a 66, yeah, 26 to 30 on this incredible coupe. How about the SL alongside it? Very different car, open top, very much 1970s. This is an 80, it's got a late one, 18 to 20,000 on this one. So closed coupe over there, open top SL here, seating for 4, auto box, again beautifully made vehicle. 911 Carrera convertible version just over here in lovely bright white. Not every car suits white, but I think these 911s do, especially because it really highlights the black accents along the sills, the door handles, and on the whale tail spoiler here. Pretty special. There we go, floor shifter. Incredible VW powered buggy here. That looks like a bit of a giggle. So who made this one then? Volkswagen GP Super Buggy. It's got a 1640cc engine, no reserve on that one. And look at this beauty over here. I was looking at a photo of this earlier on with my youthful assistant before I set off. What an incredible. This is an Alfa Romeo Giulietta Spider. Wonderful car. I think the estimate on this is late 20s. I'll check in the window. 61 Alfa Giulietta Sprint. Yeah, 26 to 28. Such a stylish little car. It really is quite something. And room in the back as well. Just what a little sweetie this is. Beautiful looking car. Everywhere you look, just great little details. The Alfa Romeo badge there. Sprint. It really is a lovely little car. Ferrari, I think that's a 430. And over here, Audi R8. Right, so I've now made it outside. Mr. Cowland is recording inside, so I've come out here now. That worked out quite well. Yeah, so let's check out lots and lots of cars which are also parked on display here, ready for the auction viewing, which begins in just an hour or so's time, to be honest. So we've got a Jaguar XF here. It's one of the pre-facelift cars, I think, but my eye is drawn to this much earlier Saab 96 V4. What a Bobby Dazzler that is. I do like my old Saabs. This has got the V4 engine, about 71ish I think this one is. It's nice that it's got the V4 engine, but it's not one of the slightly later cars which have much blockier, boxier safety bumpers on them. This still has the lovely, I think they're stainless steel, I don't think they're chrome, but it certainly looks the part. Oh, and it's got the proper mud flaps. We like that kind of thing here at OCC. Proper accessories, in-period accessories. That's what we like. It actually looks like a really clean car. These things can rust a bit. Rear wings, front wings, they all unbolt, which makes restoration a bit easier. But if you saw Bangers and Cash not that long ago, they paid a company to restore one of these, and they spent a fortune. So often there's a lot to be said for buying a car that someone else has already restored. This is a 1972, recently recommissioned, lovely condition. Quite bright in the sun here. 5 to 6 is the estimate for this very characterful little car. That's pretty cool. Right, big Dodge Ram pickup here. Like I say, I'll show a bit of everything, but we're going to mainly look at the older cars here. Got a Discovery 2, one of the facelifts. This on an 03. We used to have one of these on I think it was the year after this. Ours was a 2004. Really good car. Some of these were V8s petrol, some were diesel. Which one's this, I wonder? This has got the 4 litre V8 ES, so same spec as one we had. 68,000 miles showing apparently, so that's quite cheap. 13 to 15 is the estimate on this. And to be honest, these are really good cars. Keep the chassis wax oiled, keep on top of everything. I think that's the important thing with cars of this era, especially old Land Rovers. Keep on top of everything, look after them, and you won't go too far wrong. But they do need looking after. Great cars. There's a Merc 190E alongside that. We've got a bit of aerial action as well. Yeah, 190E. Looks like a fairly sort of base spec model. 190E 2 litre, very original example of the condition. 5.5 to 6.5. Yeah, no frills, still with the original wheel trims, which is actually good to see. Not alloy wheels, just steelies with the press-on trims. But yeah, it is nice, like I was saying with that green VW Golf. It is nice to see some of the more basic variants of the cars. You know, you get all the halo models, the sporty ones tend to get preserved, and the other ones often get forgotten. We've got a sporty Audi estate here, about 2003. I'll have to look at this, see what the blurb is on this. RS6 Quattro Avant, 7 to 8. Looks pretty purposeful with those big arches and even bigger wheels and tyre combo. RS6, that's pretty neat. Another 190E here, this one in silver. Like I say, if you're thinking of bidding on any of the cars here, please have a good look at the Manor Park Auctions website. Got an XJS Coupe. So is this a 6? I'm guessing this is probably a 6. It's one of the facelifted XJS Coupes with the different rear side windows. So yeah, this has got the 4 litre straight 6 auto, MOT till May next year. 5 to 6. So it looks like it's up and running on the road, suitable for a bit of further improvement according to the description. But yeah, the facelifted cars have these very different rear side windows, still with the buttresses at the back, which caused such a lot of excitement when these were put on sale back in about 1975 originally. Different backlights as well. Classic XJS. Right, it's getting quite bright out here, but I'll do my best. Now this is a rare old girl. This looks like a Sunbeam Rapier, one of the fastback Rapiers. Is it the Rapier or is it the Alpine? Can't see a Rapier badge on it. I'll just have a quick look around here, because they did a few. Yeah, this is the Alpine, 1974. Sunbeam Alpine fastback, a rare recommissioning project. 5 to 6. So this was the same shape as the fastback Rapier, which we tend to see more often. But this is probably the understudy to the Rapier. This is the Alpine. So that's actually probably quite a rare car now. Yeah, really distinctive styling as well. Was it what was the car that looked very similar to this in America? Was it the Plymouth Barracuda with this sort of window arrangement? By the way, pretty groovy looking car and so much more modern than the old Rapier that came before. But this being the Alpine, it just makes it that little bit rarer. There we go. There's the Alpine badge. Not a car you see around very often at all. Just have a quick look, see if it's open. No, it's locked. That makes sense. Yeah, pretty groovy. If you fancy a bit of a recommissioning project, working on something properly unusual, maybe that one's for you. Alongside that, we've got a good old Rover P6 of the early 70s. That's a 2000 TC, so 2000 TC for twin carburettor. This is one of the later facelifted cars. The early ones had like a tin metal grille on them. Of course, these originally were destined to have gas turbine propulsion. This is 1972. 5 to 6 is the estimate on this. Quite a novel car. Everything unbolts, even the roof panel can be unbolted. Rear wings come off. So you've got like a central structure onto which the outer panels are hung, very like the Citroen DS. So a K-plate BVM 52K. Quite a good usable car, probably quite underrated to be honest, the P6s. I think they are, by all accounts, pretty good cars. And of course you can get the V8 version as well. Yeah, interesting little car for someone. Now we have another classic Rover. This is a stunning P5B coupe. Very, very neat indeed on the J registration, so about 1970 or early 71. Beautiful. And I remember reading about this one. This no longer has the 3.5 litre engine despite the badge on the side. No, it hasn't been converted to electric, thank God. But this one is even better. This one has a 4.6 litre V8 engine under the bonnet. Yeah, 4.6, rebuilt by RPI Engineering 2010 with over £16,000 worth of upgrades. Wow. Repainted with metallic fleck in the paint and a light blue roof. Yep, so you've got metallic paint, which actually really sets it off a treat. We did have a spot of rain overnight, so yeah, very, very cool car indeed. 17 to 19. Pretty unusual car, really. Because when you think coupe, you think, oh, 2 doors, but no, these had 4 doors, but just a lower, curvier roofline when compared with a P5B saloon that sold alongside it. This also has what I think are fairly rare, the rear seat headrests. I'm not sure if they are all that common either, so it's nice to see those in there. Coupes also had, I'm not sure if you can see in there, coupes also had a bit of extra instrumentation under the main dash. And that pull-out tray, which you might just be able to see there, is also the factory toolkit. Oh, very nice chunk of classic Rover action there, especially with a 4.6 V8 in it. That must be a real hoot. Next to that we have a Ford Cortina Mark V, glistening in the sunshine. I hope this is still visible on the recording. 1981, 7.5 to 8.5 on that one. Little Citroen Saxo on an R plate, so about 98 as a guess. Yep, 98 Saxo VTS. 5 to 6. These were beloved with boy racers back in the day, so there aren't too many unmucked about with examples of those. Another Merc 190E there. Ooh, a Jaguar S-Type R. So this is the supercharged performance version of Jaguar's S-Type. To be honest, I was never a huge fan of the regular S-Type, but these S-Type Rs with the painted body coloured grills and the big wheels, I think look pretty sharp, especially in this blue metallic. I love that colour. Our old XJR was that colour. It's on what looks to be a private registration plate. So yeah, pretty cool. 4.2 supercharged engine under that bonnet. So what have we got? 2002 Jaguar S-Type R. So 22 years old now. Incredible. MOT till January. Incredible performance. Supercharged 4 litre V. Oh no, these were all 4.2. 400 brake horsepower. 0 to 16 5.3 seconds. Sapphire blue paint mode. 8 to 9 is the estimate. Now these I think are a really good buy. Like I said, the S-Type Rs were actually 4.2 litre V8 engine. The X308 XJR, same shape as our XJ8 at home, that has the 4 litre supercharged V8, but the S-Type R had the 4.2, which was also fitted to the later XKRs as well, the X100 shape. Yeah, fantastic car. The V8 engine in these didn't have the problems with secondary timing chain tensioners that the earlier V8s did suffer a bit from. So that would be a lot of fun indeed. Supercharged V8. This was Jaguar's rival, I suppose, to the BMW M5, and yeah, by all accounts it was a bit of a hoot. Right, let's carry on round here. There are a few people starting to have a look around today here on the viewing day. Another Vauxhall Tigra there, second one of those we've seen today, and we'll carry on over here next. But not before checking out these two, well, I say two Jaguars. This one is in fact the Daimler, the V8 250 with a 2.5 litre V8 engine, under that curvaceous bonnet and behind the distinctive fluted Daimler grille. It's interesting to see Daimler and Jaguar alongside each other here. This one I think has been owned in the same ownership for about 10-11 years, something like that. Looks like it needs a little bit of tidying up, but I think it's estimated accordingly. It's a 69 Daimler V8 250, yeah. Current ownership since 2014, 8 to 9. So yeah, a few little bits of paintwork want sorting out, but it looks like a good project for somebody. Auto box, most of them were autos. They did do a few hundred, about 400 or so manual versions, and alongside we have a Mark II, a 2.4 litre. So almost the same engine size as the Daimler, but a very different engine. This, the straight 6 XK engine, that has the Edward Turner designed V8 in it. So which would you go, Jaguar or Daimler? Estimate on this one's 15 to 17. So this is a 2.4. There's also the 3.4 and the 3.8. Apparently this is a nice, sweet little rever. Not as powerful, obviously, as the bigger 3.4s and 3.8s, but not everyone wants to go tearing around the countryside. This, in fact, I called it a Mark II, but actually it's the 240. This was the run-out model based on the Mark II. So you've got slightly slimmer bumpers compared to a regular Mark II, an earlier Mark II. I think it's different trim on the seats as well. A few other little changes here and there. This is on a G plate. I think it's about 1969, and this would have probably been sold alongside the brand new Jaguar XJ6, which had come out in 1968. So let's just have a quick look, see what year this is. Just remind myself, yeah, 1969. So yeah, this would have been sold alongside the brand new XJ6, which was a whole new design really, still with the XK engine under the bonnet, which can trace its roots all the way back to the XK120 of 1948. But yeah, this would be one of the very, very last of this shape of cars. Okay, let's carry on the stroll along here, and this is an unusual one. This is an Avanti, which, as you can see, is clearly inspired by the 1960s Lotus Elan, but much earlier car, similar in style kind of. This has Ford running gear. I don't think they made too many of these. I remember when they were on sale. I may even have the brochure somewhere for them. So the front is very similar to the Elan, as are the doors. Estimate on this 11 to 12. 1999 Avanti Grand Premio, two-seater sports, great condition inside and out. Launched at the 1992 Motor Show. So 1.8 litre Ford engine. Round the back it gets very different though, compared to a Lotus Elan. Yeah, not often you see one of those. Right, what have we got here? VW Corrado, the G60, the supercharged Corrado. The Jaguar XK over there. Let's see what else we've got. Mini Clubman. Look at this, is this russet brown? It looks a bit like it. Very similar to the browns that Spitfires and all that kind of thing, Dolomites were offered in back in the 1970s. This one looks pretty original, to be honest, still with the Clubman wheel covers on it. Original number plates. Block number 245. This is where you have to have a good close look where the subframes mount just behind here. Still got the little seam here at the back end of the sill, so that's good to see. Yeah, a bit of work to do on the A panel and the front wings, but I think pretty much everything is available for these, so yeah, could be a fun little project for someone there on an S plate. So about 1977 or thereabouts. Doesn't look too bad round here. Minis, you always have to check round here. Like I was saying before, this seam on badly tarted up cars can often disappear under a layer of filler. Yeah, 1977, low mileage, 26,000 miles, stored for 30 years. As I bought it when new, 5 to 6 is the estimate on that one. A fun little project for someone who fancies taking on the restoration of a Mini Clubman. A couple more minis over the back there, we'll have a look at those in a minute. A rubber bumper AMG midget here, the 1500, which shared its engine with the rival Triumph Spitfire of the day. Well, ironically, even though they were deadly rivals, they had the same engine. They were both part of British Leyland, but they were sold competing alongside each other, against each other, which is all very odd. No reserve on this one. It's got a hardtop with it. So it could be a relatively inexpensive project. Looks like a project spec Triumph Stag as well on the J, so that's quite an early-ish one. It's got the wheels off a Mark II, the alloy wheels. Look like they're off a Mark II Stag. The Mark 1s have the body colour sills, not the stainless covers that the Mark IIs had. Yeah, bit of a project car, this one. 1971, no reserve on this one. Given the condition, we recommend you inspect the Stag to know exactly what you are purchasing. Stood for the last 5 years or so. So like I say, with all the cars that feature in this video, it really does pay to have a look at the cars in person, or at least have a very good read of the description and chat to the people here in the office, just to get the full lowdown on what indeed you are potentially bidding on. There's a Mini alongside that, another project, an Escort Finesse. So what's the estimate on this then? Bit of a modern classic, I guess you call it now. It's a 2000, so it's 25 years old. No reserve on that. Lots of service history, one owner example, great starter classic, it says in the window. Yeah. Bit of fettling here and there. And you could have this out at shows before too long, I would have thought. That kind of car that you took this to a show, loads of people will remember owning these, and you'd probably get more attention than if you rocked up in an E-Type, to be honest, because this is the kind of car that so many people associate with, especially people who aren't necessarily classic car people but just happen to see it out on the road in use, and people will get all dewy and misty eyed because there were so many of these around 20 or so years ago. Got a Mark II MX-5 here, and another Triumph Stag, this one being inspected. This one looks like a Mark II with the alloy wheels and the stainless steel covers that I was talking about before. Again, looks like it's another bit of a recommissioning job. Yeah, so this is on an M. So you're looking to buy a project, are you, sir?
No, just looking.
Just looking, are you? There's a couple of these here. Yeah, an interesting car. Good looking car, I think. If you're handy with the spanners, this would be quite an interesting project to take on as well, I think. Now my eye is drawn, of course, to this incredible Morris Minor pickup. Where has this one been all these years? 5032NX, I think this is a 1960 Morris Minor pickup, clearly been sat for quite a long time. Proper barn find spec. 1960 Morris Minor 1000 pickup, rare pickup with stacks of potential, 79,000 miles. Yep, long-term ownership. Well, we've not tried to start the car. There is a key. Sold as non-runner. Paperwork mixed. Got a V5C, a couple of old invoices. One for when the Minor was sold in 1974 for £145. No reserve. There are tools in the car which are included in the sale, plus some spares in the back. Given the nature, one to definitely come and see prior to bidding. Yes, that would be a very wise thing to do. Yeah, what a great thing. Pretty rare, these pickup versions of the Morris Minor. These in the vans had these separate box chassis, but they still can go rusty underneath. The chassis aren't bomb-proof on these, so yeah, you'd want to have a bit of a poke around. You can see that's where they used to have the pop-up semaphore indicators, but by this point in time they'd been replaced. Is it open? Oh, it is open. I'll gingerly open the door because you never really know what condition the A-pillars are in. So we'll gently open that. Okay, so we've got a grey dash. So presumably the car started out in grey and received this pale green overcoat a long time ago, presumably in the 1960s at some point. Yeah, so it's a full project. You know, go in assuming it's a full restoration and you probably won't go too far wrong. But these are not easy to find. These pickups, I mean, regulars to the Old Classic Car channel will know I'm a big fan of older commercial vehicles. Don't want to slam it. There we go. Actually, that doesn't shut too bad at all. And it's nice to see this has got the proper commercial bonnet on it without the strip. If you look at a Moggy Saloon, Moggy 1000 or a Series 2 or whatever, it has a bit of moulding that continues this line from the door along here, and also has a little Morris badge on it. Something else flying over. But yeah, this has got the proper commercial version. It's got the strip similar to the Highlight Morris Minor MMs of the very beginning of the 1950s. So again, that was also a feature of the commercial versions, the vans and the pickups. So that, even though it looks a bit delicate in places, it's actually a really rare project for someone. And these are super popular. I don't think I'll try that door handle. Things are a little delicate. But opening quarter lights, we can have a quick peer in there. Yeah. I do love old pickup trucks, so hopefully this one will go on to be done. Still got the original back on it as well, because sometimes you see these pickups and they've lost the original backs, they rot off, and people make their own wooden bodies up, but they never look quite right. I much prefer these factory rear bodies. Tailgate's actually in good order. Sometimes these get really bashed about, often the tops of them get dented where if they've carried big lengths of timber in the back. There's a door there and a few odds and sods. Yeah, proper original BMC pickup with the frame and the canvas cover, the tilt cover on the back. So that's actually a good thing to see. So even though, yeah, it's a full project, go in, eyes open, assume you're going to have to do a bit of everything, but you're going to end up with a great little characterful pickup, and these still hold their value quite well. Lots and lots of people are looking for small commercials for as promotional vehicles for businesses, that kind of thing, as well as just a runabout. So there's always a ready market for a small van or a pickup. So actually pouring some money into this is probably a lot better bet than doing the same on a similar condition saloon, of which there are still a lot more about. But great little pickup, and I hope someone takes it on. Okay, let's have a scoot along the back row here. We have a Citroen BX. I remember having access to one of these as a company car in my first ever job. The BX16 TGS looks to be like a pretty clean example. I seem to remember it drove better than the Sierra that they also had on their books. And here we have a little Ford 100E Anglia 488 YUC. So that's an age-related registration number, two-door Anglia. You always want to have a good look around at the back arches on this kind of car. See if you can still feel the metal lips. And actually this one, it feels pretty healthy. It's still got the seam along here where the wing joins a sill, so that always gives you a little bit of confidence. A bit dusty, it's been outside for a day or two I imagine, but yeah, metal, that's good. So yeah, this has got the little 1172 engine in it. It's locked, but the interior looks super clean. Yep, so 1172, just like the Ford sit-up and beg 4 pops, but these were slightly more advanced in that they had things like luxuries like adjustable tappets and a built-in water pump, all the mod cons for the 100E owner. So the Anglia was the 2-door car throughout the 1950s, and the Prefect was the 4-door version of this, the 100E. And then when the Ford Pop, the old sit-up and beg Pop, went out of production, they introduced the 100E Popular, and that soldiered on to the beginning of the 1960s. This is a 59, fitted with external sun visor, 42,000 miles showing, on the button, ready to go, engine overhaul in 2014, no reserve. It's a neat little car. I do like a little 50s saloon. Got a souped up Mini here. This reminds me very much of one my brother had back in the 1990s. He had one that looked very, very similar to this. Similar wheels on it, big chunky wheels. A lot of info on the window. It's 1983. It started out as a 1000 City E. Now set up for fast road and hill climb specification. 1330cc engine, Weber single 40 side draft car, Mangalezzi throttle linkages, big valve head, roller rockers, Kent 286 cam, fancy manifold, gas adjustable shocks, variable tie bars, Cooper S discs and calipers on the front, fiberglass bonnet, boot and light and doors, polycarbonate windows with door sliders, and so it goes on. 7.5 to 8.5 is the estimate on this beauty. Great bucket seats in there, hope you can see those. I like the little slidey door windows. That looks like a bit of a hoot, I must admit. And another very, very modified Mini alongside that. That looks pretty cool. That's a 97 Mini Cooper 1.3i, again converted to race stroke hill climb spec, but still road legal. So that's 8 to 9. Yeah. Not too many creature comforts inside, it's all stripped out for competition purposes, but road legal, so that would be a hoot, I'm sure. Another Vauxhall Tigra over here, and on the end of the row, Mazda MX-5 Mark III. There's a very impressive looking Ford Cortina over here, badged up as a 3-litre S, so clearly many modifications have been undertaken on this 3-box Cortina. 1983, 3-litre S evocation, magazine featured. Started life in South Africa as a 3-litre Cortina GLS Auto. Arrived in the UK in 2016. 8.5 to 9.5. Here's the estimate on that one. That's quite a funky looking vehicle. I do like that. Got another MX-5 alongside with the hard top. Lovely colour, that one. I do like that. We're almost done, folks. We have a rotary engined Mazda RX-7 over here. That looks super sharp. Great looking car. You don't see too many good ones of these around now. 1986 first gen Mazda RX-7 Coupe, 12 to 14. What a sharp looking car. Pretty groovy with the rotary, the Dr. Wankel engine under the bonnet. Not many people persisted with rotary engines, but Mazda certainly did. Many years after NSU bit the dust, as NSU did the RO80, but they weren't always as reliable as perhaps they could be. But Mazda stuck with rotary engines for decades. We'll just go along to the end of the row here. Another 190E Merc in white, a Brooklands green MGB GT. Not GT, is it? It's a Roadster. 1976, overdrive, no reserve. So you might snaffle a bargain here, no reserve. So whatever it gets bid to, that's what it goes for. Quite the assortment of cars here today. Not in the auction this coming Saturday, but just a bit of a heads up. These are going into the July sale apparently. So we've got the Aston, Silver Spirit, and a magnificent vintage, or pre-war certainly, Rolls Royce just over here. Yeah, July sale for this one. I think that probably concludes my walk around the Manor Park auction today, the 21st of May 2025. I hope you find this video of interest. Please let me know what your favourites are in this one. I need to skedaddle back home now, get on with editing and get this one out first thing Thursday morning prior to the auction itself happening. But yeah, big thanks to everyone here at Manor Park Classics for letting me come along and have a bit of a mooch around. It's been really interesting, and hopefully I'll get back here again one day and do a similar auction preview video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of thing. There'll be loads more classic car videos along very soon. So bye for now. Ooh, by heck, I almost missed out this one on the end of the row here. Incredible Carmichael converted forward control Land Rover fire appliance. Well, bit of a project for someone here. Who's going to take this one on? If you bid and buy this one, please let me know in the comments what your plans are for it. Just slide the camera in through the open window. Wow. What a unique looking machine. 1961, 13,000 miles, I can well believe that. FT6, last on the road in 2007, no reserve. What an amazing, amazing looking machine that is. Let's just have a quick amble around there. Something rescue. Carmichael, nicknamed the Moon Buggy due to its looks. Initially stationed at Dolgelly in North Wales until being replaced by a newer vehicle in 1978, at which point it was relocated to Pwllheli, re-registered KSU 928. In 88, original registration number was reallocated. It comes with a large amount of fire brigade, rescue paraphernalia, hoses, helmets, inflatable mats, spare tyres, and a Coventry Climax powered water pump. Not been run for a number of years, so definitely a project, this one. An amazing looking machine. It's a fiberglass bodied Land Rover by Carmichael. Lovely wooden ladders on the roof. Nice Ajax there, pretty nice. Nice to see all the bits and bobs are still with it. What an incredible looking thing, even if you didn't keep it. I mean, ideally it'd be kept as a fire truck, but can you imagine that as a camper or something like that? You know, at least do something with it. That's amazing. Keep all these sort of bits and bobs in place, but just do a sympathetic conversion. Emphasis on the sympathetic, and that would make for a really, really interesting thing. Anyway, right, time for a quick cup of tea, sandwich, and let's get back home to the computer and get this all edited up ready for tomorrow.